Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today, why haven't the Brooklyn Nets given Cam Thomas a contract extension? What are we talking about? Well, earlier this week, Zach Lowe, who does a podcast with The Ringer, he was formerly at ESPN, did a segment on his show where he was talking about the NBA's restricted free agents, guys that have just concluded their rookie contracts and have entered restricted free agency. And basically, hey, what is each one of these guys' value? Why haven't their current teams just went ahead and signed them? What other teams are interested in them? Why haven't other teams came in and tried to make an offer on some of these guys? These are guys like Jonathan Kuminga, they're guys like Josh Giddey, and they're guys like Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets. And in the segment that they did talking about Cam Thomas, Zach Lowe basically said, because Zach Lowe's an NBA insider, this is a guy that's talking to a lot of NBA GMs, he's talking to a lot of NBA coaches, he's talking to a lot of different people around the NBA, and he was asking people, hey, what do people around the NBA think about Cam Thomas? And he said that most people, the consensus around Cam Thomas is that he is an empty calorie ball hog. And Cam Thomas saw this quote from Zach Lowe, and he proceeded to have a Twitter meltdown where he defended his play on the basketball court while at the same time calling out his GM and saying, F you, Zach Lowe, and F you, other NBA people around the league that said this about me. So let's just go ahead. And this is going to be a little awkward reading this because the first tweet here, as you guys will now be able to see on your screen, is and I'll try and highlight this here. Last time speaking on some S, and then he goes and does 3 more tweets about this. Last time speaking on some S. Empty calories? Question mark. First off, we were the 5th or 6th team in the East before my injuries and trades. Okay, a few things about that. Cam Thomas played, I think it was 23 games last year. That's 1. 2, the last 2 seasons when Cam Thomas has been healthy, the Brooklyn Nets record with him on the basketball court is 31-60, meaning they lose twice as many games when he is playing than they do win. So that's 1. Can't control what the GM going to do with the team or want to do with the team. He called out his GM. Guys, he's in the middle of contract negotiations. And he's calling out his GM on Twitter. Second, ball hog? I was second on the team in assists, not counting the PGs traded away and traded for. So he's right and he's wrong with this. So basically, if you go and you look at the Brooklyn Nets basketball reference and you look at the assists on that team, he's 7th. But guys like Ben Simmons was traded. Or I guess they bought him out. They bought him out during the year. Dennis Schroeder obviously left the team. D'Angelo Russell was traded in the middle of the season. So he's more like 4th or 5th, kind of, if you count in guys like basically if you did the end of the year roster, he's probably like 4th or 5th. So that's kind of a again, each one of these things I can easily just, it took me 2 seconds to look this up and be like, oh, that's kind of BS. You're kind of you're kind of moving the goalpost and you're kind of strawmanning a little bit. He adds to that. Guess nobody was passing the MF ball, but just bring me up every time. Laughing emoji 5 times or 6 times. So this is a guy he quote tweeted here in the second one. This is a Nets beat reporter that posted this stat. I respect Zach Lowe, but I wanted to point out a discovery I made while writing an article on Cam Thomas. Thomas is one of 12 guards that averaged 24 points per game and 3.8 assists per game while shooting at least 43.8 from the field last season, along with guys like Donovan Mitchell and Steph Curry. A few things about that. One, that's not... I think you had to really stretch it for, again, I don't know the other 12 guys on this list, but you had to kind of stretch it if you're getting down to 43.8% there. Also, 2, Donovan Mitchell and Steph Curry are guys that are on playoff teams. These are guys that are on winning teams right now. Like, these are guys that are competing for NBA championships. So I think there's a difference between these guys doing them on Donovan Mitchell on a 60-win team, Steph Curry doing it on a I think they were a high 40s or maybe even low 50s win team versus Cam Thomas doing it, again, only playing like 20 games in a season and on a very not good team that is tanking. So that's the other thing. Now, here's the specific quote. This is the last tweet that Cam Thomas had, that Zach Lowe said. And again, I mentioned this earlier. 90% of that segment talking about Cam Thomas was overwhelmingly positive. This is like maybe the one negative part. And he's not even being negative here. He's just talking about, hey, this is what other people around the NBA are saying about Cam Thomas. This is what Zach Lowe said about Cam Thomas. The consensus on Cam Thomas, if there is one, and he's got some fans and he's got some mega detractors. When I went back and watched it, I don't know if he actually said mega detractors. I could be wrong, but I don't know if I remember that. But the consensus is kind of like empty calories ball hog. The consensus, F you and F the consensus, Zach Lowe. This is most likely the same consensus teams who can't guard me and send double teams from jump ball. Why are we double teaming a guy who's not that good? Make it make sense, please. Again, no one said you're not that good. No one said that. No one said that. You're straw manning here. No one said you're not that good. What empty calories ball hog means, it means you're putting up a lot of stats on a team that's not winning games. Plain and simple. There's been a lot of guys like that throughout NBA history. There's a lot of guys like that in the NBA right now. This is a Zach LaVine complex. People thought this about Devin Booker before they started winning games. People might start thinking that again about Devin Booker right now. This is something that I think about LaMelo Ball. Like it doesn't mean you're a bad player. And also, too, they're sending double teams to you because, like that's the point. It's for you to pass it, and you don't pass it. And you're not good at passing the ball. And if you actually go back through the history of Cam Thomas, and you look at his career, even dating to him back to college and even right before the draft, like this is the reason this dude fell to the end of the first round. It is this narrative. I don't even know if it's a narrative, but it's this mindset that he has as a basketball player. This guy only looks for his shot, and he doesn't look for passing to other teammates. He was, I believe this is the stat I read. It sounds crazy. That's why I'm saying I read it. I'm not sure if it's true. But after his freshman season in college, he led all freshmen in college basketball in scoring. But again, he was the 27th pick in the draft. Again, this is the same draft as guys like Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. Like, it was a very talented draft, and Cam Thomas averaged the most points out of any freshman. But again, fell to the draft because people are like, oh, I don't know if this guy likes sharing the ball. And to if you don't believe me with some of that stuff, this is something from early on in Cam Thomas's career. This is a hold on, I'll have to scroll down here. This is something early on from Cam Thomas's career when he is in summer league, and he was asked about, hey, your coach is saying that you need to pass the ball a little bit more. What do you have to say about that, and are you working on that? So let's go ahead. Again, this is a question from a reporter, and then this is Cam Thomas's answer.
I'm glad I made every single one of them.
I was talking to your head coach, Steve Nash, before the game, and he was saying he's encouraging you both to look for your shot, but to look for your teammates as well. You had 7 assists. You laughed there. Why were you laughing?
Look at his, again, I'll go back to that. He's rolling his eyes during that question. He's rolling his eyes during that question. He's rolling his eyes during that question. Watch that again. He's rolling his eyes during that question, and the reporter calls him out. It's like, whoa, you were like, even if you're like, oh, he's just blinking, the reporter calls him like, whoa, why are you reacting like that? Let's watch this again.
But to look for your teammates as well, you had 7 assists. You laughed there. Why were you laughing?
It is what it is.
How much you intentionally try?
So I'm glad I made every single one of them.
It is what it is. The reporter's like, why are you laughing at that? Why are you laughing at the notion of getting your teammates involved? It is what it is, bro. I'm going to go to the NBA, and I'm going to be averaging 24 points on a team that's winning 15 games a year, bro. That's what I'm going to do in the NBA. That's the type of player Cam Thomas is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, last one here. I found this. Cam Thomas talking about who he's patterned his game on. I really patterned my game after James Harden when he was in Houston. By the way, James Harden, he's a different player than he was, what was that prime Harden Houston, like 7-8 years ago? He's a different player than he was then. But even then, like, James Harden had a reputation as a ball hog. That's what it was. And it was like, hey, can you win playing this type of basketball where every possession is running through you? The difference between James Harden and Cam Thomas. By the way, if you look at Cam Thomas's usage rate around the NBA, I think last year he was 7th out of guys that play like a certain amount of minutes. Like maybe it's 32 or 30 minutes a game. He's like 7th. He's as the same usage as guys like Luka Doncic, like Cade Cunningham, like Giannis. Like he's got one of the highest usage rates in all of the NBA. And comparatively to all these other guys that I'm mentioning, either his points are way less than all of these guys or his assists are way less than all of these guys. So it's not like people are making this stuff up about you. Like you have one of the highest usages in the NBA and you're averaging like 3.5 assists a game. Now per 36 is Zach Lowe. I wouldn't have known this if I didn't watch Zach Lowe talk about this. Hey, if you do per 36, he's like 4.5. That is something that he's improved on over the course of his career. So, like, again, and this is why he crashed out on Twitter over this. This is a thing that people have been talking about him for his entire career. Here, I got some quotes from coaches, guys. Let me see if I can find them. I got them right here. So this is from his current head coach. I believe these are all from last season. He's talking about why Cam Thomas's assist numbers are so low. November 3rd, 2024. I see frustration, and that's why we need to move on from you're not going to be able to score every time, but you can find a way to help your team. Today, Cam Thomas wasn't efficient. That's your head coach. Your head coach, homie, is talking about that. Talking about Cam, but here's a positive quote. Talking about his playmaking potential. When he gets 8+ potential assists, we've won every game. And that's what, this is November 5th, by the way. And that's what we keep telling him. When we give you the ball on the second side, explore less dribbling, more passing. If you have the shot, shoot it by all means. But if not, you're very good at sharing the ball because then we all benefit from it. Again, this is his head coach talking about, hey, he needs to pass the ball. This is something he needs to work on. This is something that we keep talking about. And again, like it's people on your own team are saying this, dude. Your own team is saying, hey, dude, you need to pass the ball more. You need to share the ball more. Because that's the best version of the team is when you're sharing the ball more. Maybe the Nets would have not been 31-60 the last 2 seasons when you played. Instead, if you sacrificed 3 or 4 of those shots a game, and let's say you were 18 and averaged 18 points per game and you had 6 assists a game instead of 24 and 3.5. Like maybe now does that mean they go to 60 and 31? No, the Nets suck. And it's not because of Cam Thomas, it's because of a whole lot of other reasons. But maybe they win more of these games. Maybe some of these games that go down the wire go the Nets direction. Like that's what people are talking about. And like I have another one here too. Let's do Jacques Vaughn in 2023. We know he has the ability to score the basketball, but it's not forced. It's within the flow of it's in the flow of our offense. And then at certain times, we need to get him a bucket, and he's capable of doing that. This implies a desire for Thomas to integrate his scoring with a team-oriented playmaking. Again, over and over and over again, we have his last 3 coaches. We showed that video of Steve Nash talking about it. We got a quote from Jacques Vaughn talking about it. And then I had the other 2 quotes from Jordi Fernandez talking about it. Like, dude, this isn't something that people are making up. And this is where I guess we'll wrap up this video here today. Cam Thomas, this is a turning point of your career, homie. Like, there's a reason that you're in restricted free agency right now. It's almost the end of July, and no one around the NBA is like, hey, let's go ahead and get Cam Thomas on our basketball team. No one is saying that right now. There's 29 other teams. They got 4 years of tape on you, homie. They know the numbers that we just pointed out. They know the stats that you're putting up. They know how good you are at scoring the basketball, and none of them are interested in you. None of them want you to be on their basketball team. Now, you can internalize that and be like, oh, wait, why is that? Should I take a different approach to the game? Should I take more of a leadership role? And should I maybe adjust how I'm playing? And, another thing with Cam Thomas is his rim rate is not that good. He doesn't have that good of a rim rate. Maybe you should work on being a guy that's a drive and dish guy. Because that's also another reason why his assists aren't that high, is because he's not going to the basket as much. He needs to get to the rim more. And if you go to the rim, more people are going to converge on you. Then you can kick it out and you can be more of a playmaker that way. Like, this is a turning point, man. What kind of player are you going to be? You're going to sign your second contract now. I don't know what it's going to be. There's reports of him looking at like 4 years, 100 million. Homie, that ain't happening. If it is, it kind of shows you how stupid the people running the Brooklyn Nets are. I think I saw Bobby Marks say that he is like, I can't remember if it was like a 3 for 54 a year type of guy or a 3 for 64 a year type of guy. But that's the type of guy that you are, man. You're a middle-class guy in the NBA. There's no shame in that. You're not a superstar. You're not Kobe. You're not Donovan Mitchell. You're not Steph Curry. Like, probably your destiny in the NBA is you're going to be a high-volume scoring bench guy. You're going to be like a Lou Williams type of player. There's no shame in that. Lou Williams was a bucket. He was a beast. Lemon pepper Lou, baby. Like, that's what you got to be. I think that's what you want to focus on. Obviously, if you're going to start on the Nets and you're good enough to start on the Nets, keep doing that. But work on playing team basketball. Because there's no, like, you're more talented than the 27th pick in the draft. Like you just are. But you were drafted that way because people had these exact same concerns, and you have not proved them wrong. You've not proved them wrong in the NBA. You've proved them right with how you decide to play the game of basketball. And that's just where we're going to leave it off. I've said enough. I've said my piece. Very talented basketball player, but people calling you an empty calorie ball hog. I mean, ball hog is maybe a little mean. I'll say that. But the empty calories thing, like, you're putting up numbers on a crap team. That's what empty calories means in the NBA. You're putting up a bunch of numbers on a bad team. Like, that's what you are, homie. No disrespect. It's just what you are. So that's going to do it for this episode here today. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe. Best way to help us out in the algorithm. And again, leave your comments on what you think about Cam Thomas, what you think about the Brooklyn Nets, what you think about the video. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts, and feel free to check out other videos on the Sports Detective Podcast channel page. Again, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.